The Celonis execution management system is uniquely positioned to help banks streamline their trade ops processes in order to reduce risk, improve customer experience, and position the bank as best in class among its peers. Let's begin with this executive dashboard view, built for a trade ops manager who's focused on keeping trade processing risks in line with existing controls and minimizing trade amendments. Several things jump out on this dashboard. First is process cycle time. The trade processing cycle time, from initiation to settlement, is currently taking 621 minutes, a much higher time frame than would be expected. There's also intervention. We have an average of 4.37 interventions or updates per transaction. Multiple interventions mean there are a lot of manual activities taking place in order to process a transaction, increasing our cycle time and risk. Finally, there's trade settlement, where we see that only 94% of trades were settled on time, significantly increasing our risk exposure. For today, let's focus on intervention, so that we may understand what are some of the driving factors behind such a high volume of manual activities. To analyze what's going on during our transaction processing, an analyst would use the Process Explorer to view the most common variations in the process. This is a key benefit of Celonis platform. It exposes the hidden inefficiencies in a process using an objective, data-driven approach and enables true process intelligence. The most common sequence of activities follows a straightforward process starting with the trade is being sent to compliance, then goes through trade capture, routing and booking, all the way down to payment release and trade reporting. Now as we expand our view to examine the next most common variant, we start to see additional ways a transaction may deviate from that expected path. If we zoom in on this most common process deviation, we can see this looping that is occurring when we have a manual review of a transaction and the subsequent amendment that is made as a result of this review. Here we see that a high volume of cases are going through a manual review due to an error being uncovered. After this manual review, an amendment to the transaction is made. We can see that this looping and process deviation is adding over 10 hours to the overall cycle time. And if you recall on the executive dashboard, we saw that on average, there are 4.37 amendments that are being made per transaction. Knowing that it's a hyper-competitive market and customers could go to any other bank, it's critical to tackle these intervention problems upstream to speed up transaction processing, in order to enhance customer experiences downstream. In order to tackle these problems upstream, our analyst can look to a tailored view on intervention to analyze root causes impacting our high volume of manual activities. This view gives the analyst everything needed to pinpoint inefficiencies and answer the why. On the left, you can see a histogram chart of the volume of amendments that are made on transactions. Here you can see the bulk of transactions have somewhere between 2 to 5 amendments made. But you can also see that we have some transactions with as many as 30 amendments, presenting a significant risk to the firm. On the right side, we can see the correlation between our STP and non-STP transaction population and our average cycle time, affirming that non-STP cases have a significantly higher average cycle time, while our STP cases have a much lower average cycle time. Below this, our table visualizes what Celonis does best: identify inefficiency root causes at scale from the mountains of transactional data being mined from different systems. Celonis automatically buckets the most common causes for non-STP transactions. And through this we see that initial booking, trade error, has the biggest impact on our non-STP transactions. Now by clicking on initial booking, trade error, we can drill down even further to see the impact of this problem. Here you can see our non-STP cycle time is 799 minutes, and that missing information is the key driver for initial booking errors. Additionally, on the right-hand side you can see what information is specifically being missed by the front office, leading to errors downstream. We see that missing SWIFT, BIC information is one of the most commonly unpopulated fields, and the chart below shows us the true extent of the problem. So in just a few clicks we've gone from free-form process exploration to a targeted root cause analysis, and we're able to filter for a specific inefficiency hotspot. The beauty of the Celonis platform is that by using its execution management capabilities, this insight can now trigger a remedy through automated orchestration. And we can do this by clicking on Solve in Action Flow. Celonis action flows work as listening devices that detect specific scenarios within the process as they are happening, and automatically take action. Common action flow remedies include notifications via email, Teams, or Slack alerts, write-backs and updates to source systems, and triggering digitization apps like RPA bots or workflow tools like ServiceNow. In this instance, we're scanning transactions to determine which fields within the transaction have not been populated, and are thus causing the high volume of non-STP cases with missing information. As we saw through the dashboards, missing information increased our average cycle time significantly. Through this action flow, we can reduce the amount of time an analyst spends determining what information a transaction is missing through message scanning. In Celonis action flows, we will first query the data to determine which transactions are non-STP, and specifically, which transactions are non-STP because of missing information. Of that case population, we will use action flows to scan the transactions to determine which attributes are left unpopulated, and are required for that transaction to settle. Based on type of attribute that needs to be populated, Celonis will then categorize these errors based on the attributes that are missing, such as currency, compile these categorized transactions into Google Sheets, and then will route the transaction to analysts based on their specialization and send these analysts a Teams message to let them know that a new transaction has been added to their manual review queue. With an action flow like this, our analyst will be able to spend less time sorting through transactions to determine which fields are non-populated, ultimately resulting in a faster, more streamlined manual review process benefiting both the bank and its customers. To summarize, you've just seen how Celonis provides an executive dashboard that tracks critical KPIs. Process analyst tools for process exploration, discovery of inefficiencies, and root cause analysis. And automation capabilities to execute remedies across systems based on process insights. Collectively, these capabilities can help financial institutions reduce risk, improve customer experience, and ultimately provide institutions with a competitive advantage over their peers.